President Johnson addressed his Commission for Human Rights in Washington today. He said the most basic and most dangerous challenge to the world today is the challenge of human rights. South Dakota Senator George McGovern urged the president today to meet with Soviet Premier Kosygin before the president leaves office. McGovern, who unsuccessfully challenged Vice President Humphrey for the Democratic presidential nomination, appeared on the NBC Today program this morning. The fighting in Vietnam flared out along the Cambodian border again late today. A dozen American soldiers wounded. The battle was in the same area where 25 members of the U.S. 1st Air Cavalry Division were ambushed and killed late yesterday. Prince Sihanouk of Cambodia has complained to the United Nations about alleged United States attacks on his country. He says the recurrence of such attacks threaten world peace. U.S. and North Vietnamese negotiators met informally in Paris today. They both reported some progress toward starting the expanded peace talks with both South Vietnam and the Viet Cong present. Then both sides traded accusations concerning activity in the demilitarized zone. The 77th Annual Minnesota Sheriff's Association Convention began in the Twin Cities today. In opening remarks, William Spurrier, the president of the National Sheriff's Association, spoke about the group's chief concern.
The chief concern of the sheriffs is the same as every other arm of law enforcement, is the better training of their personnel. First of all, we must have the right kind of salaries to attract the right kind of people.
23-year-old Robert Bertiam of Big Lake, Minnesota, has drawn the maximum 15-year prison sentence for first-degree manslaughter charges. Bertiam was charged with the November 16th stabbing death of a fellow Big Lake resident. Members of the American Mothers Committee, Incorporated, handed St. Paul Mayor Byrne a citation and a whistle today. As explained by the State Committee Chairwoman, Mrs. Joseph Crow, Minnesota's Mother of the Year, the whistle and its accompanying flashlight are part of the group's effort to cut back on the number of street assaults on women. At $1 apiece, the whistles are to be carried and, if necessary, sounded to ward off would-be attackers. The director of the U.S. Bureau of Mines, John O'Leary, held an hour-long news conference today and spoke of mine disasters. He said all the present mine safety laws should be thrown out and new ones written. He said new laws won't stop disasters, though. That part of the blame must be put on the mining industry and the miners themselves. Israeli fighter bombers struck deep into Jordan today, 50 miles. They said their attacks were aimed at the installations of an Iraqi army division that shelled Israeli frontier settlements earlier this week. The United States has told both Israel and Jordan today that continuing violation of the ceasefire will only serve to heighten the tensions and dampen the efforts toward a permanent peace. Part of the Christmas season is missing in Minneapolis, and we'll have that next on the KSTP News 10 o'clock report. 5 persons have died in the fiery crash of a private plane near Sparta, Michigan. The victims were flying from Ohio. They are not immediately identified. Finally tonight, a 13-foot, 2,500-pound lady is the center of a dispute between New York and Philadelphia tonight. The lady is the bronze statue of Diana, the goddess of the hunt. And she hasn't been in New York since 1925. She resides now in the Philadelphia Museum. Mayor John Lindsay of New York decided to help that state's historical society get her back, but Philadelphia's mayor, James Tate, refused to comply. He sent along this picture instead, and enclosed was a conversation with Diana, supposedly, in which she said, "New York is a nice place to visit, but I'd hate to live there." Lindsay replies, "Philadelphia may be the city of brotherly love, but it obviously means men only." That's the news. Till 10 tomorrow evening to you. Good news and good night.